Welcome back everybody to Purple Sector Formula 1 Leagues. We're about to get underway here for the Hungarian Grand Prix as we're lining up on the grid here, getting ready to go for round 14 of this 24 round season for season 14. As we've got on pole position here the returnee to tonight, Daza, obviously managed to take pole position by half a tenth just before the end of the qualifying session, and we've also got alongside him the championship leader Badman, as it seems like the whole field is ghosting here, but hopefully we'll be getting underway. Yep, here we go, lights out and we're underway. As Daza here, looks like we got a reasonable start off of the line as Badman on the inside also got away quite nicely. Drago there looking to the outside of Badman into turn one. Is he going to get alongside him here? Drago there getting a good run as we see Scott there moving ahead of Matty after Matty tried to go around the outside there, but Badman's held on ahead of Drago for the time being in about a second place. We can see John's moved ahead of Truckee up into 10th, or has he? No, he's gone a bit wide there going through turn two, and Truckee holds on to P10 for the time being, but Daza leading as they come up through the first few corners here on lap one of the race. And we've got Truckee there getting ahead of Mango up into 9th place as Mango there running wide. John gets through and White Shadow's also going to follow him through there. So Mango having a bit of a blip and has lost a few places as a result of that one. So not the best of opening laps here for Mango. But Dazza still leading the race by just half a second here. Badman coming under pressure from Drago already here out the front. Looks like Dragos wants to get on with this one as quickly as possible. As Scott there running in 4th place, the driver who pushed Badman absolutely to his limit on Tuesday night at Spa. And could be well within a shout of repeating the feat somewhat tonight if he can stay close and stay within DRS over the course of this one. But end of the first lap we come, and Daza, Badman, Draga, Scott the top four. Daza there fastest lap of the race, obviously he's leading the race. There's John there a bit wide there going out of turn two, but keeping it together. Doesn't look like he's had any major issues there at the moment. There are the drivers going through turn four here on lap 2 of the race. Daza still with a half second gap, but this time obviously this lap they'll have DRS, which will help some of the guys who are trying to make overtakes here in the early stages of this one. But Badman's keeping Daza on his toes at the moment. Now what's Badman going to have to offer the driver who's jumped in tonight? I don't know if he's a reserve, I don't know if he's now a full-time driver, but whatever the case, Badman's not going to be want to be upstaged by somebody who's just jumped into the league for their first appearance of the season, as Badman's got DRS a little bit too far back there into turn one for the time being. Any moves being shaped up, looking like Truckee there pretty close on John, but obviously John with DRS on Truckee pretty close on C-Mac, and in fact Truckee's got ahead of C-Mac as well now. So Truckee there got a better exit out of turn one, has managed to get the move into turn two there. Bit of a lock up there as he went through turn two, but seems to have got that one done up into 8th place. Here we come then. So Daza once again is going to have a bit of pressure here from Badman, but on the previous lap Badman didn't look like he got a great exit out of this corner. Can he get a good one this time? I'll tell you what, he's a bit closer this time. Still maybe a little bit too far back to make a move into turn one. He could keep Daza on a bit of pressure over turn two as he elects not to try and distract him in the mirrors there. I'll tell you what, Badman got a bit of a better run there through turn one. Again, just a bit too far back here going into turn two. It's going to have to continue to hold position there in that one. as we've got Trucky here looking to the outside of Rexy Boy into turn 2. Rexy Boy holding that inside line. Trucky's going to go for a cutback, is he? No. At the moment, Rexy Boy's got that one covered. Bad man, they're really closing up onto the back of Dazade, under braking going into the chicane. The others have really kept up quite nicely here. Drauga, Matty, Ernie are right there in this fight. You've got 5 of them currently battling over the lead of the race at the moment. C-Mac and Mango, the only drivers not to put the medium tyres on. Everybody else is on the mediums, but C-Mac and Mango have gone for the hard tyres here for the start of this race. But as they come through the final corner once again, it's Bad Man here trying to put the pressure on Dazza. Didn't get a great run through the final corner there, just hit the little curve on the inside, which just upset the balance a little bit. Drauga's not too far away from Bad Man as well, so Bad Man needs to watch himself. Obviously, he's not just attacking; he's also got a driver behind him who I'm sure is going to be itching to get ahead. Trucky in the meantime has moved ahead of Rexy Boy, although has he, because Rexy Boy's holding that inside line. Trucky round the outside there, beautiful move there, and gets himself up into 7th place. That is job done there for Trucky. Back to the leaders. Bad Man is all over the back of Dazza right now as they're coming through the middle sector of the lap, through this long right hander which leads towards the chicane. Oh, as Bad Man just looked like he's a little bit uncomfortable coming out of that corner, maybe having to manage the acceleration there coming out of it. But Matty Pitt's got a 3-second penalty. First driver in this race here to pick up a penalty. It's not what you want to see, obviously, on lap 5 of the race. It's by no means a way into this race yet. It's still early doors, so any penalties are really going to cost you. You're going to have to be very careful for the rest of the race. But Bad Man, nonetheless, still on the back of Dazza as they come through the penultimate corner. As Dazza there, a little bit of a slide on the curb, but nothing too major at the moment. Now can Bad Man keep himself close here? Dazza didn't look great there through the final corner. I'll tell you what, Bad Man could have a chance. Again, maybe just a little bit too far away. But I'll tell you what, he's knocking on the door at the moment. In the meantime, Drauga's fallen away a little bit. We've got Ernie there moving ahead of Matty Pitt into turn 1. I think that's job done there for the Sauber. Although Matty's going to try and get a cut back here. Got a better exit, but Ernie will get a second bite of DRS to try and help him consolidate his position. And it looks like he's done that one, Ernie. Although Matty's going to try and go for a cut back. Ernie, though, looks to have got the momentum there out of turn 2. And through 3 we go, and he's up into piece 5 there is Ernie. So he's done that one very nicely indeed. Mango into the pits here at the end of lap 5. Not sure what's going on there. He put the hard tyres on, so he must have had damage here in the first part of this race, which has cost him enormously here in this one. But Dazza's still out the front, leading ahead of Bad Man. There's Drauga, Scott there running in P4 right behind him with Ernie, Matty, Trucky, Rexy Boy battling over 7th and 8th places, a little way behind the top 6 at the moment. Top 2 have broken away ever so slightly from the rest of the top 6, but Bad Man and well, Dazza and Bad Man still being 2 peas in a pod at the moment. But Bad Man has dropped a bit of time to Dazza over the course of this lap. Is maybe under threat of losing that DRS at the moment. He's got it, and he'll get another dose of it now to just help him get that a little bit closer again and keep Dazza under pressure here in this first stint of the race. As Scott there having a look on Drauga, a little bit too far away into turn 1 just at the moment. Oh, Matty was really wide there. John's got a 3-second penalty. Matty, you can tell why he picked up a penalty so early as well, because stuff like that does not go unnoticed by the stewards. John's also now got 3 seconds worth. Everybody else keeping their nose clean so far. But we'll see how that all pans out over the course of the race. In the meantime, Badman's still close to the back of Dazza, closer on this lap than he was on the previous lap, and very much keeping himself in striking distance. But is Badman going to wait for the pit stops? Is he going to go for an undercut here on Dazza to try and do something here to get this position, which he's obviously trailed to Dazza since the beginning of the race? Dazza taking pole position with a brilliant last ditch effort in the qualifying session, and since then has managed his first stint very nicely with the pressure of the championship leader on him. In the meantime, we're watching about for third place at the moment as Draga and Scott still going at it. As Draga a bit wide there. That would have probably been a track limits warning there for Draga, so he needs to be careful. Scott's still on the back of him here as they come into the chicane. In the meantime, Dazza's just extended the gap over a second here to Badman, so if he can maintain that coming into the DRS zones, that'll give him obviously a bit of an impetus here, because Badman won't be able to use the DRS to close in a bit, which will give Dazza a gold opportunity on the next lap to try and extend that gap further. But in the meantime, Draga and Scott still running pretty close here. I tell you what, Scott's going to be poised here to make a move if he can stay where he is right now, a little bit closer maybe through these final couple of corners, but he's got a good chance here. Well, saying that, Draga looked like he had better grip here through these slower corners, and yeah, he's lost a bit of time here as Scott, and that's going to give Draga a bit of breathing room for the time being. Badman's managed to get a little bit closer in the final sector there. It's only half a second away as he comes into turn 1, as Rexy Boy's into the pits here in the lap 8. So Rexy Boy becomes the second driver after Mango to make a scheduled stop here in this race. As Scott and Ernie are side by side here, so Scott, I think, has made a mistake here, and Ernie up the inside into turn 4. Is it going to be job done? Oh, he runs a bit wide there, and in the end, Ernie does get that position. He was a bit aggressive there, but to be fair, I think that he had the right to do so. He had the corner. That was definitely his corner. He was on the inside and ahead, but Scott could be vulnerable here because Matty Pitt's looking to attack on him into the chicane. Oh, I tell you what, Ernie there, very wide onto the grass, and he's lost 2 places at least. Could be potentially losing out to his teammate as well, and Ernie is absolutely all over the gaff, and that could potentially allow Truckee in here. He's going to be hassling him through these next few corners, but he'll also have dirt on his wheels as well, so that could affect Ernie's grip over the next sort of, well, sector or so, you would think. But at the moment, Scott's still ahead of Matty Pitt in that fight for 4th place. That was kind of triggered by Scott losing it. I think Ernie got ahead of him and then maybe just panicked a bit. I don't quite know what happened there. I think Ernie running Scott wide, I think it wasn't outrageous, I have to say. I think maybe it was hard but fair, actually. But I don't know what the stewards are going to make of that. But nonetheless, he kind of, well, I suppose if you take a dim view of it, you could say that he had immediate karma for it. But I don't think it was karma. I think he was actually unlucky for that situation to occur, because I don't think he really deserved any karma for that. I think it was actually quite a well-judged manoeuvre. But nonetheless, Matty's still on the back of Scott as they come through turn 3 here on lap 10 of the race, and he's still pretty close to Scott at this moment in time. Dazza and Badman still fighting out over the lead of the race, just under a second between those two at this point. This is going to be a race-long battle, I feel, barring any major catastrophes for either of those two. Scott there, twitchy as hell, going through that part of the track. I tell you what, I know he likes a loose setup, does Scott, but even for him, it's got to be, got to feel a little bit awkward, especially through, I mean, Hungary, the middle sector. You know, you want a car that you can trust. Don't know if he's got damage, maybe. I don't think he has, as far as I know. But Scott into the pits, so cleared the tyres, starting to feel it a little bit. No surprise really, because when you look at the setup on that car, I mean, those tyres must be absolutely dead. But in the meantime, Ernie almost running into the back of Matty Pitt into turn 1. That could have potentially given Truckee the position, and it has given Truckee the position, and Truckee's up into 5th place without any further ado there. Dazza and Badman still going at it over the lead of the race at the moment. Just under half a second between these two at the moment. Badman still on the back of Dazza, but still a bit too far away. Rexy boy has got to have John. John's, I think, has made a mistake here because he's lost that position and is now considerably way ahead, or way behind, should I say. But Matty, Pitt and Ernie both in the pits here at the end of lap 11. Top four all continuing on the medium tyres that they started on. White Shadow also staying out on the medium tyres. And John is coming into the pits, so getting those medium tyres off. So that just leaves 5 drivers who started on the mediums, sticking with it for the time being. So obviously Mango on the medium tyres, but did not start on them. And Daz is threatening to break away from Badman again here, almost a second the gap as they come through the chicane. These guys are 4.5 seconds clear of Draga, who sat in 3rd place. Trucky's still doing a decent job tonight, in some very good points there in 4th place. Although saying that, I think it's a net P6 with the pit stops. Maybe P7. Tell you what, Badman's at risk here of dropping out of the 1 second. Daz has done bits over the course of this lap, and it's all going to be on this last corner now. If Badman can keep within a second here, he might just hang on to it. It's going to be very close. I think he just about hung on to the DRS. No, he didn't. He did fall out of the DRS here. Badman has lost DRS here on lap 13 of the race as we've got Draga and Trucky into the pits. So they'll be putting their hard tyres on now. So it's going to be a 2-stop race, I think, almost certainly. I don't think we can have much doubt, unless, of course, these guys get to about lap... I think they'd have to get to about lap 15 in order to make that work. I mean, maybe lap 14, I don't know. I'll tell you what, I mean, it could be possible. It's not out of the question. Surely the 2-stop's got to be the comfortable strategy, though. I mean, you can actually push on a 2-stop. On a 1-stop, you definitely can't. Ernie has made the move there on Draga. As Draga fresh out of the pits here. Ernie has gone a lap longer and has got much warmer tyres and didn't make too much of a fuss of that one. But they're in a bit of a train here, these guys, from Matty, Rex Boy, Ernie, Draga and Scott. 5 cars currently battling over 4th place. C-Mac yet to pit. This will be a battle for 3rd, obviously, once all is said and done. Rexy Boy managing to get in the thick of this due to that early pit stop, which has given him the undercut. But his tyres are going to be quite a bit older than these guys around him. See Rexy Boy there defending to the inside, going into turn 1. Draga here just waiting in the wings behind these guys at the moment. Ernie close to the back of Rexy Boy, looking to the outside here into turn 2. Can he go for a cutback here? Doesn't look like it at the moment. And for the time being, the Ferrari of Rexy Boy hangs on to that one. Dazza in the meantime has really extended over Badman over these last few laps. He's now 2.5 seconds clear. I think Badman's tyres have started to fall off a little bit. Dazza's still cruising along and enjoying life out the front. Now the final stint's not going to be as hard on the tyres because obviously the fuel load is going to be a bit lighter. They'll be able to put the hard tyres on. Now does Dazza come in? No, Badman doesn't come in either. These guys definitely going to be one stopping, I think. I mean, how far do they have to get these hard tyres? Or rather, how far do they have to get these mediums in order to put the hards on? Maybe they're concerned about going 20 laps on the hard tyres. They might have to go an extra one, maybe, and push these medium tyres 16 laps, but it's going to be a real handful by the end of this stint, I tell you. But these guys trying their best. They're going to lose track position, I think, to potentially the likes of Matty, Ernie, Rexy Boy, Draga, because these guys are going to be coming. Also Scott and Trucky, I tell you what. There's a big train of cars there. If these guys push it too long, they might lose track position to all of these guys. Or is that part of the plan? With slightly fresher tyres here. This is going to be fascinating. Those guys will all have to pit, again, guaranteed. Because 22, I mean, these, so yeah, the most recent of those to pit is Draga, Trocky. Yeah, Draga and Trocky, and even they put their tyres on at the end of lap 12. So basically it's going to be nigh on impossible, because they'd have to do 23 laps on a set of hard tyres, which is not possible. They would go pop about lap 21 probably. But for these guys, they're on the cusp, because could they do 20 laps on them? Probably. But then again, there's always going to be that lingering potential doubt. What if you can't? I'll tell you what, out of these two leaders here, I'll tell you what, Daz is definitely handling these worn out tyres better. He's extended the gap by a further half a second on that lap. Now the gap's up to 3.2. Badman is just nursing these tyres to the end of the stint by the looks of it. And he seems to be in a bit of trouble here, but luckily for him, I think they can probably come at the end of this lap, and they should almost definitely be able to get the hard tyres to the end from here. As Draga's moved ahead of Rexy Boy there up into P6 going into turn 1. Over the course of this lap, it does seem like Daz has not extended the gap over Badman, so it seems like Badman's fought back a little bit over the course of this lap. Daz is staying out for at least another lap here, but Badman's coming in. So Badman pitting here at the end of lap 16. The gap was 3 seconds. I mean, it's not out of the question here that Badman could get the undercut. A 3-second gap. If he can gain about 3.5 seconds on Dazza over the course of this lap, it's not completely a crazy suggestion, because just simply how long Daz has gone on these tyres, I don't think he's going to recover 3.5 seconds, but it's not completely a lunatic notion. But nonetheless, Badman going through turn 1 here, back out onto the track. But at the moment, Daz is still out the front, but he'll have to pit pretty soon, you would have thought, as we see the battle for second place. Matty, Pitt, Draga, Ernie. These three guys have just pulled away a little bit from C-Mac, Scott and Rexy Boy, and Trucky also, as Trucky there was very close there to the inside of Rexy Boy into the chicane, a little bit too far away there as he went through the corner. Riding on board here with Trucky as we were watching these three guys just up ahead of him here, C-Mac, Scott and Rexy Boy. You can see just how close Scott is to the back of C-Mac through that sequence of corners, and he's going to be itching here to try and make this move. He'll have DRS, and obviously C-Mac won't have DRS because he's got nobody within a second in front of him. What can Ernie do here on the back of Draga in a similar situation? Dazza pits here at the end of lap 17, so absolutely no surprise there to see that. We're going to have to keep an eye and see what happens here with Badman in a second as well. But we've got Ernie here, as Matty Pitt now is the race leader. But now where is Dazza going to come out in all of this? He's just to the end of the pit lane now. Badman has jumped Dazza, so he has done it. I don't know if Dazza had a nightmare of an in-lap, or whether Badman was a scorcher, or if Dazza's tyres were just absolutely hammered. But he's only got 1 lap pressure tyres. He may have just thrown the race here by staying out an extra lap. He probably should have come in at the end of lap 16 like Badman did. But Badman is now potentially the net race leader because he's got much fresher tyres than the guys in front. I don't think these drivers in front of them are going to be able to go to the end. But I mean, it's not completely beyond the question though, because I mean, the hards usually go a little bit further than the mediums, and we saw a set of mediums go 17 laps. So, you know, how far can the hards go? The likes of Matty would have to do 24 laps, Draga 23, Ernie 24. I mean, Scott would have to do 25 laps to get to the end of this race on a set of hard tyres. You know, there's levels to this. Rexy Boy would have to do 27, Trucky would have to do 23. But Badman's already picked off C-Mac here in the battle for 7th, so he'll now be able to close up onto this train of cars. But there's going to be a lot of drivers here who are fighting their own races, and they're under no obligation, obviously, with no blue flags, to make way. So it's going to be very interesting to see. Dazza has moved ahead of C-Mac now up into P8. I tell you what, he's closed the gap already a bit to Badman. Gap's only 1.2. Badman's got traffic. These two, I think, are still going to be locked horns here over the course of this final stint. Matty leading the race though, and I tell you what, Matty, Drago and Ernie have got now a 5-second gap to Scott. So it's now well and truly a three-way battle here for the lead of the race. Matty has got a 3-second penalty at the moment. Drago in a net lead position in terms of the classification when we get to the end of the race. Oh, you see Truckee there with a big lockout going into the penultimate corner. And Badman's going to be poised here. Obviously Badman and Dazza now tied at the hip. Dazza within 3/10 of his rival for this race win. So Badman needs to get on with this. He's got a slipstream here. And DRS, and now looks to the inside and makes that move there. Very easily indeed. Is Dazza going to follow him through immediately? Doesn't look like it. Truckee stays in 7th place. So there's now a driver between these two contenders for tonight's win, as we now see Badman looking to the outside here of Rexy Boy, and is going to make this move here into turn 2 with better tyres. Swoops around the outside there up into 5th place. That's an easy move there for the championship leader. And Dazza's still at the rear of this quartet, battling over 5th place. So Badman can now release onto the back of Scott, who's 2 seconds up the road. Badman about 6 seconds off of the lead at this moment, as Matty and Drago have swapped positions a couple of times over the course of this lap, but it's currently Matty who still leads this race ahead of his teammate, but obviously Drago with no penalties. So it's oh, imagine I just spoke too soon. Wow, now that was if that wasn't tempting fate, I don't know what is. So Drago, they're getting a penalty just as I mentioned that he doesn't have one. Just as I was about to say, he might be trying to get on the phone to Matty to say, look mate, I've got no penalties, I'm our best hope for this race win. But just as I thought to say that, it wasn't. But Ernie, I tell you what, he's going to be rubbing his hands together. He's now the net race leader in terms of the penalties. As Badman there, fastest lap of the race from P5. He's already on the back of Scott. Daz has now cleared Rexy Boy and Truckee. Rexy Boy into the pits, Truckee being DRS there into turn 1. Badman are looking to try and dispatch his next victim here in the shape of Scott. And Scott, is he coming into the pits? I think he might be. Yep, Scott's in. That's going to release Badman into clean air. Furthermore, only about 4 seconds off the lead now is Badman. And if he gets ahead of Ernie, he'll be the net leader. Daz is now 2.5 seconds behind Badman, so Badman negotiating the traffic slightly better than the newcomer to this season's league here at Purple Sector, Dazza, who obviously was on pole position and led the opening stint. Maybe stayed out an extra lap longer than he should have done, and that was what gave Badman the undercut and track position and potentially the net lead. That was looking very likely to be the net lead, and at this point the race win, but we're by no means at the end of the race yet. this is the trio currently battling over the lead of the race. Matty, Drauga and Ernie. Oh, is Drauga there, very wide. Looking to try and pick up another penalty by the looks of it. Daz has lost a bit of time into Badman over the course of this lap. The gap's now 3 seconds between those two. There's Dazza currently running in P5. Truckee there in 6th at the moment, as we got Matty into the pits now at the end of lap 22. It's Badman there, fastest lap of the race. Running in 3rd place. He's absolutely flying along at the moment. It's Badman. Truckee also into the pits here. So Matty and Truckee both putting a fresh set of tyres on. Matty's put the hards on. Truckee's opting for the mediums. For a 13 lap run to the flag, I think that's audacious. I wonder if he had to put them on. I can't quite remember. I don't think he did, but he might have done. C-Mac here has got ahead of White Shadow up into 9th place. And White Shadow's in the pits, that's why. But here is your championship leader, as he's got a couple of drivers in front of him, Driver and Ernie. Now it'll be interesting to see if these two hold him up a little bit and potentially bring Dazza back into this fight for the win, as we see Ernie there coming into the pit. So Drauga's now the only driver ahead of Badman, so I think that's not going to happen. Matty's moved ahead of Scott here up into 4th place, going into turn 1. And he's still there waiting behind, having obviously got the well, Matty and Scott got the undercut on these guys, but Ernie's going to be chasing them down in these final few laps. He's got 12 laps to go on his medium tyres, so his tyres will go off towards the end of the race. At this point in the stint, Ernie had to put the tyres, then Matty and Scott. But in the last couple of laps, he'll probably be struggling compared to them, so he needs to make use of these medium tyres whilst he's going to have the ultimate grip underneath him. He needs to push now and get ahead and try and build a gap to these guys. Although they have got penalties, he hasn't. That's going to be to his advantage by the time he gets to the end of the race. As Drauga now pits, so that now reinforces the order that we had in the first stint, except Badman is leading the race, and he's leading by about just under 3 seconds at the moment over Dazza. Now the one thing that we know from the first stint is that Dazza is a little bit better on his tyres than Badman, and that could be beneficial to him. He's just under 3 seconds behind, but towards the end of that first stint, Badman's tyres really dropped off quite horrendously, so if there's something that Dazza might be holding on to as a bit of a consolation at this point, it could be that his tyre conservation has, if past his prologue, will be probably better than what Badman's is at the moment. But nonetheless, we've still got a battle here between Scott and Ernie at the moment in the battle for 4th place. Ernie on the slightly fresher medium tyres, made a bit of a hash of that corner though. Sorry, that was Scott. It was Scott who didn't have the best of runs there through there. So we've still got Ernie on the back of Matty at the moment in this fight for third place. So Ernie getting ahead of Scott just a few moments ago. We saw there getting into fourth place. Gap at the front between Badman and Dazza still just over 3 seconds at the moment. So Badman at this point in the stint looking good, but as we remember, in that first stint the tyres really did drop away towards the end of the stint. I have to keep a close eye on that. Ernie here though, closing up onto the back of Matty Pitt as they come in towards the final few corners here. Looking to the outside, trying to go for a switch there. Thought better of it, but Ernie's going to be in a prime position here on his fresher, faster tyres. As we come through the final corner, can he get a good exit? I think he's going to get a lovely exit here. So Ernie, unless he has terrible straight line speed, should be able to make this move pretty easily here on Matty Pitt. Matty, oh, he thought about defending it, thought better of it, knew that Ernie had that straight line speed. It was probably futile and has made that move there. As we also see Draga has moved ahead of Scott up into fifth place as well. So two moves happening in the space of a couple hundred metres there. But Ernie gets that move done up into third place. Now he needs to try and pull away as quickly as possible because he's got the less durable medium compound. So in the last couple of laps we're definitely going to see Matty and Draga coming back at him. So he needs to get on with this and try and build a gap whilst he can, as Matty Pitt there's got a 3-second penalty. So Matty there incurring the wrath of the steward once again here tonight. Badman's extending the gap a little bit over Dazza now to 4 seconds in this battle for the lead. Driving getting a little bit closer to Matty Pitt into turn one, but just a little bit too far back there. He stayed pretty close here to Matty though. These two Mercedes teammates here, doesn't look like there's any team orders at this moment. Oh my goodness, Draga there ever so wide going out of turn two. That's lost him a bit of momentum there. I think Scott's going to be looking to try and feast on that. Round the outside goes Scott into turn four, and that is job done there for the McLaren up into fifth place. And Draga there caught napping a little bit and ultimately paid the price. C-Max got a 3-second penalty here by the looks of it for track limits. Scott also with a penalty as well there. Maybe that was for going wide and overtaking Draga. I don't think it was though. I think it was the next corner maybe, but I could be wrong. So in the meantime we've got Draga here on the back of Scott as they come through the final corner. Looks like Scott did maintain DRS there on Matty, which is going to help him defend it from Draga, and that's probably saved him there to be honest, because Draga was pretty close there and they both had DRS, so I reckon that could have been position gain if it wasn't for that. Draga's still pretty close here into turn two, but too far away, and obviously with DRS for Scott it's just almost impossible for him to make that move. Gap in the meantime almost 5 seconds between Badman and Dazza, so Badman seems to have the pace at this point. Rexy Boy's moved ahead of Trucky up into 7th place as he goes around the outside there. He's still having a great fight here for P7. Trucky here looking to try and get a cut back. Up the hill they go towards turn 4. Rexy Boy's got that one covered for the time being. Scott trying to get a bit closer to Drago trying to get a bit closer to Scott here into turn one. A little bit too far away just there. Matty trying to break away from these guys, but looking like they're keeping tabs with him pretty nicely at this moment in time. We've got Trucky here looking close on the back of Rexy Boy down towards turn one. Just a little bit too far away at this moment. Scott's under threat of losing the DRS here to Matty, the gap almost a second. That could give Drauger a possibility of making a move here. If Scott can't stay within a second of Matty through these final couple of corners, he will be very vulnerable here to the Mercedes. Let's see what the gap is as they come out of the final corner. It's going to be close. I think Scott just about clung on to DRS. Yes, he is still within that 1 second there. So Scott managed to just about get the DRS, which is helping him to defend here from Drauger in that fight for 5th place, as we've got 5 laps left to go here at the Hungary ring for tonight's action here in the purple sector Formula 1 League. And Drauger's still trying to throw the kitchen sink at Scott, but Scott's got his every answer at the moment to him. Gap between the top two, currently 4.5 seconds, is staying around the same at the moment. We know Dazza looked after his tyres much better than Badman did in the first stint. Are we going to see a similar story now? And Dazza coming back at Badman in his final few laps of the race. In the meantime, Rexy Boy going round the outside of Trucky here. What a battle this is for 7th place, and Rexy Boy still holding on to that one. Great fight here between these two. And Trucky's still unable to make a move stick here on the Ferrari driver. C-Mac's got a 3-second penalty here for track limits by the looks of it. We've got Scott here, once again has DRS on Matchy, which is keeping him in good stead here. Drauger's dropped back a little bit this time around as well, and is just a bit too far away to really have any potential overtake there on him. We've got currently Trucky on the back of Rexboy here, still in the battle for 7th place. Out the final corner they come, he'll have a bit of DRS here. Trucky's surely going to make this move this time. He's got no DRS though. That's probably why he's not able to do anything there into turn one. Rexy Boy misses the apex here into turn one, a little bit wide. Trucky's his exit isn't good enough out of turn one. Seemingly it's the traction, but also he's got no straight line speed as well. Trucky with a straight line speed is really costing him here. That's what it is. It just didn't have anything going out on the straight. It was really close there to the back of Rexy Boy coming out of the final corner, and then just had nothing down the straight. It's looking unlikely he's going to be able to pose much of a threat here to the Ferrari in these closing laps, if that's anything to go on. Badman starts lap 33. We've got just 3 laps left to go here. Hungary, Dazza still running in 2nd place, 4 seconds the gap's coming down. Dazza again showing he's got good tyre saving skills, but looking like the gap is insurmountable at this point. Oh dear. There's no warning about that one. I haven't got a cough or anything. My voice just decided to completely give up there. I'm getting these random moments where I just choke up and I just can't talk. God, it's really embarrassing. It's happening a lot lately. Anyway, situation at the moment still similar. Dazza not really making any major inroads on Badman at the moment. Sorry, I just need to. God, right. I still can't talk. Trucky here on the back of Rexy Boy in this fight for P7 as they're going into the chicane once again. Oh, Trucky looking to the inside, trying to keep Rexy Boy under pressure. Now this is what he needs. He needs Rexy Boy to be faltering a bit through these final few corners, so then he can be close enough that he can just blast past easily down the straight. Here we go then. This has got to be Trucky's best chance. We know his straight line speed isn't great, but he is unbelievably close here to the Ferrari. Down towards turn 1 again. Rexy Boy's pulling away despite Trucky having DRS. That's how quick that Ferrari is in a straight line. It's not just Trucky not having pace in a straight line, it's Rexy Boy having a rocket ship. And again, Trucky not close enough to make anything happen. It's going to be a frustrating evening for Trucky, a race where he had the pace of a Rexy Boy but couldn't make a move. He's still on course for an 8th place though, and I'm sure he won't be too disheartened with that one. But that's, yeah, he must be cutting a frustrated figure at this moment in time. As the race lead is about to start the final lap of the race, Badman has been flying along over the course of this one. Went a lap shorter in the first stint, got the undercut on Dazza, and that seems to have been what's won him this race. Towards the end of this race, Dazza's definitely had the pace. He's brought the gap down from 5 down to 3 seconds over the last sort of few laps, but I think it's going to be a little bit too late here for Dazza. I think Badman has just done enough here to see this one out. His tyres definitely going off here in these final few laps of the race. As they did in the first stint, we saw Dazza definitely looked after them better. Around this track, obviously, that does make a difference, but I think Badman is going to get away with it here tonight. Although he is really struggling. You can see the gap is plummeting here on his final lap of the race. I reckon the checkered flag will come just in the nick of time here for Badman, but it could be quite close. But I tell you what, he's absolutely... he's wobbling at the moment as Scott's still on the back of Matty in the battle for 4th place. Back to the leaders here with just a few corners left to go here on lap 35 of this Hungarian Grand Prix at the Purple Sector Formula 1 League. And Badman did it brilliantly in the first stint, got the undercut on Dazza. Dazza had a decent lead, but Badman was able to come out ahead and they navigated the traffic together, but Badman maybe got the slightly better rub of the green through the traffic as they were obviously passing the cars who were yet to pit. But Badman out of the final corner here at the Hungary ring, and he is going to take the checkered flag, and it is the win for Badman. He holds on in the end. Dazza was coming, maybe a couple more laps he'd have had him, but Badman wins ahead of Dazza second, with Ernie over to complete the podium. We got Matty over in 4th, although Scott gets on the penalties there, so Scott 4th, Draga 5th on the penalties with Matty 6th. It's going to be Rexy Boy who will finish in 7th pretty shortly. Trucky giving it everything. Oh, Trucky's got ahead here. Going into the penultimate corner, Rexy Boy back down the inside, pushes him wide and says, don't even think about it, Trucky, you're not going to get this 7th place into the final corner. And Rexy Boy is going to hold on here for 7th place. So Rexy Boy managing to get it there. Trucky giving it absolutely everything. But Rexy Boy 7th, Trucky in 8th place in the end, with C-Mac, who's going to be coming through the final couple of corners here in 9th place in the end as he comes into the final corner now. There's White Shadow in the background, but C-Mac will be finishing in P9 here for this one. White Shadow 10th with John a long way behind here. White Shadow actually getting 9th there. And John here into the final couple of corners. It's going to be an 11th place here for John. Mango's already finished a lap down in 12th place. But John, the last driver to finish the race. And that is that then for tonight's action here at the Hungary ring. Badman taking the win ahead of Dazza, but I tell you what, there was definitely 2 drivers in this battle for the win. Dazza pushed him all the way, and definitely doing a good job with the tyre saving there. But Badman with the overall pace there, doing a great job. But that is that then for tonight. Badman, right place, right time, getting the undercut and seeing the race out beautifully there. Dazza and Ernie completing the podium. Dazza pushed Badman all the way. Ernie, to be fair, was not far away. He was only 6 seconds behind these guys at the checkered flag, so really pushed there towards the end. So Ernie, I mean, yeah, he was kind of came out of nowhere there. But thanks to all the drivers. If you did enjoy, then I'm very glad that you did. And thanks to Pebble Sector as always. And yeah, be back on next week. See you guys then.